Good morning. Thank you to His Eminence for this privilege of sharing with you the parish leadership of the metropolis, some ideas for resources and for parish ministry. And I thank you all, as we don't thank you enough, I don't think, for taking time away from your family, your work, and other responsibilities to be here with us at Holy Cross, to talk about parish leadership, to learn about what we have to offer, and maybe possible ways that we can work together to help you in your ministries in your parishes. Start out with just a little story. I won't go too long, but this little item is something you can find on eBay. And according to its creator, it's a work of art. It's a black 8-inch acrylic box. And inside that cube, on the back of the cube, is an Ethernet cable. If you bid on this, you have to agree to the stipulation that when you receive it, if you win the bidding for about $6,500, you must immediately plug it into the internet, at which time it will return to eBay and be sold again to the next highest bidder. The artist probably didn't know it and probably didn't think it through, but what a great example of stewardship. None of us owns anything. We receive what we have. We hold our positions as stewards, whether we are clergy or whether we are parish council presidents or treasurers or bookstore operators of the parish, or whatever it is that we do in the parish. We don't own that position. We pass it along to the next person. And I think we always need to think, like the Boy Scouts do, am I leaving it a better place than I found it? Am I leaving it better than I found it? And am I preparing someone to take my place when I'm no longer am able, or when it's time for me to pass this along to someone new? So think about it. It's a good illustration of stewardship, and I don't know if that's what the artist was thinking, but it just reminds us that we never own anything forever, and we are stewards. That's good theology. It's my privilege to serve as Director of Stewardship Outreach and Evangelism. And the focus of everything we do, just as Theo said, the focus of everything we do is on the parish, on you, the parish leadership. In the words of St. Paul, we are God's fellow workers. I was once asked, and you may have heard me say this before, they asked me, how many parishes have you converted to Orthodox Christianity? And I'm not embarrassed to say none. Converting churches is a pretty cool thing. It's very exciting when it happens. But even if it occurs often, it doesn't do much to revitalize or grow our existing parishes. The ministry directors of the Archdiocese understand that there's no shotgun approach to ministry. We can't, from a national level, do something that's just going to be a magic pill or a silver bullet that's going to bring people into the church. We need to provide you the tools in the parishes and the resources so that you can do to equip you and support you for ministry. And ministry is a person-to-person process. It's a person-to-person process. That's why in our stewardship training seminars, you'll always hear Bill Marianas say, the mob was wrong. It is personal. Stewardship and outreach is going out to our people wherever they are in their walk with Christ, engaging them and helping them to realize their importance as active members of the body of Christ. And although we use mail to support our efforts, unless we meet our people face to face and listen, not talk to them, listen to them and their ideas and their concerns, and then share a vision for where we see the future of our parish, our stewardship efforts just won't reach their full potential. In the words of Father Bill Chiganis of Chicago, Holy Apostles Church in Westchester, he said, people don't give to need, they give to vision. Church people don't stretch their giving because the church needs to meet the budget. They give, and I would add, they become more involved because they see a vision of people being reached and God's purpose in the church and its ministry. As parish leaders, you each bring your own specific gifts to the sacred responsibilities laid before you. In Romans chapter 12, we read about having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us. Let us use them. Well, let us use them. You know, sometimes people are placed in a leadership position and we're not quite sure they're the right person when they're taking that position. But in hindsight, if we allow the Holy Spirit to operate, we will see that that was exactly the right person to be in that position at that time in the history of our church organization, or the organization of the church that they are serving. Their personality, their training, their skills, their education, their sphere of influence made them the perfect person at that time in the history of the church for the position that they're in. And often the Holy Spirit will work through us, or often in spite of us, whether we like it or not. God has a plan for each one of you in serving the church. And if we're diligent and prayerful, He will put to use all of our past experience, training, education to the task that lies in front of us. And with the guidance of the Holy Spirit, if we offer our unique gifts humbly, He will multiply them like the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and He will feed the multitudes. I stand before you as a parish priest and as a director of a department, but also as a past parish council president, past stewardship chairman of my parish, and many other responsibilities. So if there's that's always been my orientation, is to, as the parish. I know that you are the ones that carry on the ministries. But I've also seen often, I'll visit a parish and I do some seminars on parish council training, and someone will come up to me and say, I've been on the council for 30 years, or I've been on the council for 25 years, and the chest is a little blown up and proud of that service, and that is a great thing. That's a lot of time spent serving your church. But I also, after commending that kind of spirit, I wonder, not always out loud, have you encouraged other people to take on leadership positions? Because our job, once we get a position, we should already be thinking about the next person who will take our place. We should all make ourselves expendable, thinking for the future. As Tom Peters, the management expert, said, leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. So we should always be thinking about who's going to take our place. We don't own our position, as we already said. When we talk about conciliarity, this is probably the best illustration, and you've probably seen this before as well. But we need to learn to know when to move back into the flock and support the new leader. It's something we don't always do very well, but it's really important to think about. When our turn is up, it's time to move back and not disappear, but move back into the flock that honks and shouts in support of the person, and well, in this case, the goose who takes the lead. So we need to really think about that. What a great example the geese are for us. There's a time for us to move back into the V, still involved, but letting someone else take the lead. Father Herrick I love the things he writes, and I'm sure you all do too. He writes about the duties of the parish council. He says, the parish councils help do the work of the church. And sometimes we think our work as parish council members is to do the business of the church. But the work of the church is to continue the work, he says, of Jesus Christ in the world. And Jesus is our example because he said, I came not to be served, but to serve. And if you read in the regulations, it says to serve on the council is a ministry. It's a ministry, and all those who serve are called to represent Christ and the Orthodox faith to all whom they meet in all aspects of life. We need to overcome the mentality of saying, Father, you take care of that stuff, we'll take care of this stuff, because it's all the same. It's all one picture. Think about this. The calling to be witnesses of the faith was originally directed to the disciples, who were faithful people with ordinary professions. And these people changed the world. They didn't make it complicated. They didn't do this by their vast knowledge of theological issues, but by their simple faith of what they'd experienced in Jesus Christ. The front lines of Jesus' ministry, Jesus' army today are you, faithful men and women who live ordinary lives in the world, attending school, making a living, raising families, and participating in the daily life of society. We have a responsibility as leaders, and this is critical. St. John Chrysostom said it many, many years ago. Our most basic task as leaders is to know the gifts of the people whom we lead, and to encourage them to use those gifts to the full for the benefit of all. We should surround ourselves with the most capable people and encourage them to use their gifts for the good of the church. He knew how important it was, St. John Chrysostom, to get people to offer their gifts and talents to the church. And as leaders, you need to know the people that you lead. their needs, their talents, and their abilities. Peter Drucker, the management expert, did a lot of talking about nonprofit organizations and the church. He says the first competence of a leader is the willingness and ability and self-discipline to listen. People need to know that they are being heard and that their ideas are being considered. Even if they're not implemented, they need to know that they're being heard. Otherwise, they become disenfranchised and they disengage. As parish council members, you are ambassadors of the faith. Often you are the first people that visitors and attendees see when they enter the church. Father Sebastian, with whom I work on parish council training a lot, and he says, push the pagani against the wall. Don't stand behind there, but come out and shake a hand and smile at someone sincerely. In 5 minutes, people decide whether or not they're coming back. If they're visiting for this time, you have 5 minutes to encourage them, to welcome them, and to have them make that decision that they will come back again. A sincere smile, a friendly handshake, and a welcome can have eternal consequences for them and for you. People come to church looking for 3 things, research has shown. In Lost in America, a book I would suggest by Clegg and Bird, the authors find that people come to church are looking for 3 things: transcendence, significance, and community. Transcendence, they want to sense the presence of God. I think we, in our liturgy, we do that well. Significance, they want to do something for their fellow man. They want to serve other people. And community, they want fellowship with other people who believe as they do. Coffee in the church isn't just coffee. Coffee is fellowship. Coffee is where we come together, following the liturgy, following the tradition of our church of fellowship, following liturgy. As one who served my home parish many years ago as stewardship chairman, I know the constant struggle to convince individuals of the need to support the parish beyond its current budget. I've read my share of literature on stewardship and can tell you the great indicator of the individual's level of stewardship is that person's commitment to Christ and their feeling of connectedness to the parish. I think sometimes we get it backwards, but if people become involved, they become fulfilled in their parish, they become your most generous stewards of time, talent, and treasure. So I encourage you to see yourself as parish leaders, to see stewardship, outreach, and evangelism as a single effort. Not something we do on this day or that day, or an effort that we do once a year, but it's an investment that we do all year round in the future of our church. Having said that, I want to go through with you now some of the things that we do to help you with the ministries of the parish. I think you all are aware of the training, National Stewardship Training Program that we have. It arranges for training of parishes, and I think Bill Marianis and George Matthews have been to this metropolis several times to train you in stewardship, to give you a new paradigm, to help you to implement programs in your parish. I would suggest that you continue to take advantage of their ability. They do this on their own expense. And if I told you the amount of money that they spend to travel the country to share their information, you would be astonished. Not to mention Bill's billable hours that he forgoes to continue to coach people along the way. You're going to hear from Nick Siamas in a little bit about the software initiative. This started as a donor tracking program because we were getting calls every week saying, what do you recommend for a software program? We need to get a new program. What do you recommend? A year ago, early 2010, we formed a subcommittee of stewardship to deal with parish management software. And initial goals were just to evaluate current packages and see what was out there and make a recommendation. We created a joint effort with IT, finance, and administration. And it's being, once we announced that we were doing this, we put together a team. They came out of the woodwork. We have software engineers, we have tax attorneys, we have so many people of so many great qualifications that we could start our own software company at this point. And the value of what we're getting in service from these people, you couldn't put a price tag on. But God bless Nick, who's been able to manage this project, move it forward, and keep all the parties connected and positive about the project, and it's come to fruition, and he'll tell you about it, but we have reached the point where we've chosen a software provider. They're going to partner with us, not sell us. They are partnering with us to provide software to you on a voluntary basis. You don't have to take it if you don't want it, but it looks as though we're going to be able to provide it to your parish at no cost for installation, migration of data, and training, at least in the first year. So I think it would be a very valuable thing for you to consider, and I strongly suggest you take advantage of this work that's been done. We didn't just shoot from the hip and pick somebody. This was work that was done very hard and very long by software engineers and all levels of involvement with this type of thing. Nick will go into it more. I want to respond to questions that I have received, and Nick will repeat, but I know we need to repeat a lot. Your data is secure in this program. It's your data. We only take up what you send us. So don't think it's Big Brother. We're not looking over your shoulder. You send us whatever data you want. The reports are going to be that you send. It'll be easier for you to report what you need to report or what you've been reporting, and that's all. Otherwise, it's just as a tool for you. And I get excited as an outreach and stewardship director because it's going to be a great ministry tool. You want to segment your parishioner base and reach out to the parents who have 3 children who live in this zip code and do this kind of work. You're going to be able to do that once we get all the data put in. It's going to really allow you to personalize your ministry. And I know that there's a potential to even be able to access the data, for the priest to access this data from a handheld device. So the future is now. We are able to do this, and it will assist you in your ministry. And God bless, I understand that funding is being secured, or has been secured to provide this. I'm going to speed up here a little bit. We have a program that you will find very useful in the parish on planned giving, and it's comprehensive. I won't dwell on it, but it does everything. It gives you a general outline of how to make a planned gift, a brochure to provide your parishioners, a plan for implementation, so your parish can create a team to implement a planned giving program, sample documents to make the desired gifts, articles on what you do when someone passes away in your family, and a living will, a document that is good in 42 states and possibly 50 with a little additional work on the user's part. This is to benefit the parish. This isn't for the archdiocese. This is so that you can raise awareness. People want to give to the church. They want to give to your church. It's just that we've not made it easy for them. So they give to hospitals and universities instead. We've created, I'm stepping up the pace here a little bit, I'm sorry to rush. Many of you talk about wanting to do a welcome folder for your parish. Well, we created one. This would cost you a fair amount of money to produce a folder like this. We'll provide them to you for free. We've shipped about 6,000 of these already. It's a pocket folder with guidelines inside, and you can use whatever you want. We'll provide you with materials to put in it, but it's also there for you to use. And we've shipped, like I said, over 6,000. I hope that you will put it to good use. The annual stewardship resources just reached the parishes in the last few weeks. They look like this. They came out in an envelope like this, so you can see what you're receiving. It's a full plan of a year-round stewardship program, and I hope you will make use of it. There are Greek resources in here as well, because I know some parishes need them. We have Greek brochures explaining the difference between dues and stewardship and more. I hope you'll take a look and make use of these resources. And they're available mostly at no cost from the department. So please, if you need additional resources, please contact us. We provide banners. Just to give you an idea of the different kinds of things we'll do. These are the parish resources. Look like we used the theme this year along with the youth department of Abide in Me. We encourage you to consider a program of Outreach Sunday, which we have been promoting together with Philoptohutz and the Center for the Family. It's a day where we reach out and bring those people in. 96% of people who don't come to church would come to church if they were asked, and the most influential people in bringing people to church is a family member. So have a day at your church where all the organizations work together in a win-win situation to bring people to church on an Outreach Sunday and then follow up. Keep them coming back. There's a program, I'm sorry because of the time limitations, I'm not going to go into detail, but there's a tool that we have that's quantifiable, measurable, of a way to improve the ministries of your parish, and if it's been proven that if we reach certain levels of achievement in these areas of the parish, we grow. We can't provide the growth, as we know that God provides the growth, but we can at least do ministries better, and we can get out of the way. It helps you to analyze your strengths and your weaknesses, and to focus your efforts in areas to improve our ministries, and also to eventually open the door to grow our parishes. A Russian Orthodox man brought his friend, a member of the Communist Party, to church. When they left church, the Orthodox man was confronted by his communist friend who said, hey, when people come to the party meetings, they get literature. I got nothing. We are intent on giving you something to give to people when they walk through your doors. They have questions. They want to know about the church. For example, when do people come more often than any other time? The resurrection service. Here's a brochure you can put in their hands. If you want, you can put a welcome card inside that they can give you information about themselves on. So you can get a visitor card inside there. We shipped over 20,000 of these before Pascha this year, and I hope you'll make use of it. We also have a nativity brochure. God bless Father Tom. Thank you for that, Father Tom Fitzgerald. We have a nativity brochure that we hope you'll also make use of this year, because these opportunities, when people do come to church, we can't let them slip by. We need to welcome them and make them realize the church wants them to be part of their life. There are also 40-day blessings, memorial service brochures, and we're coming up soon with baptism by Father Kordaris and Holy Communion by Father Kalifas. So please watch for us to come. We have low-cost Bibles for outreach, which was a request from a parish. One thing that I really want you to know about is a clearinghouse of liturgical items. New parishes need things like censers, ikonostasia, kuvuklia. They need all kinds of baptismal fonts. And many parishes established have 2 or 3 of these items, or are changing over and have them sitting in storage. We have facilitated as a clearinghouse many items going from one church to another, from pews to ikonostasia to baptismal fonts and censers, altar boy robes. If you have extras, let us know. If you need, let us know. Go to our website. You can download a checklist and let us know. I'm going to wrap up. I really wanted to go into more detail on some things, but in conclusion, I just hope that you will, at the end of this day, leave here a little tired maybe, but also inspired by having seen what the church can become, not by just maintaining our current programs, by what can be made possible by your efforts and support. Take the ideas that you're going to receive today and return to your parish with renewed dedication to the ministry that lies before you. I close with this thought. When kids go to church camp, they live a routine of prayer, fellowship, and Christian activity. And when it comes time to leave camp, they get on the buses and they say, here we go, back to reality. But then we think for a moment, we say, no, wait, this is reality. I hope you'll feel that way about your work in the church. Because although the work that we pursue in our daily lives is mostly temporary, the work we do in the church can have eternal consequences for us and the people we serve. God bless you all in your ministries.